chicken burgers. Well, they're not chicken, they're rutabaga.
It smelled like chicken when you were cooking this stuff.
I did a great job. And this is, I can't use all of the pulp at once, and I won't have enough room in the freezer for all the vegetables we're going to be eating in the next while, so I have to dry some out in the oven and use it for later, but it'll grind up nice into a flour and it'll be just great. And here's some hot chocolate beet stuff that I'll be drinking, and that one's a beet plus carrot and stuff out of, well, I've talked about that before, how I've used the waste from the hot chocolate beet to make little dessert balls. So I'm going to be talking about the X-Files season 1 to 3, Well Groomed, Going Green, volume 2 and 3, and Edible Schoolyard. And James is going to be talking about a whole bunch of stuff here.
I've exhausted myself, but most of the books already with reviews, some description of another.
And if you don't want both burgers, I will eat one this time. But I didn't make any fancy buns, we just had them given to us.
I'm just going to eat one this time, but I'll want both of them.
Okay, well, I'll eat later, yeah. I'll eat something else, it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
And no, it doesn't matter. So, the X-Files, just take a bite and tell people how it is. Oh, yeah. And then that's good. I don't need to do it if you're good. So, this is awesome. X-Files season 1. I look forward to them coming out with the new X-Files. You've got to do it, guys, because
2023, is that what you were saying?
I think, I mean, there is, you wonder in season 1, oh, did, what is his name? Eugene Toombs, did he die? I mean, you assume that he must have, but it's kind of, it's really unfinished. You don't know if he died, and I think, he might come back in 2023. He'd be due to come back if he's been hibernating. He might have just got injured, and he might have been hibernating this whole time. So, I want that.
You want it saved, right?
What? You want me to do that?
Yeah, I can't do it.
Okay, so you talk about Well Groomed then, while I'm.
Oh, okay. Well Groomed is about grooming dogs, largely with.
It was a tough job.
And thanks for not spilling it.
Yeah. Well, not too bad.
Oh, you did.
Not too bad.
Anyway, yeah, you can take over that now.
So, it's a great documentary about people who really...
It's doggone good.
Yeah, it's some... well, not just poodle, but mostly poodle.
Mostly poodles.
Art. It's art, what they're doing. And yeah, there's some people saying, oh, well, it's dog abuse or whatever. These dogs love it. They obviously, the ones that are shown in this anyway, and honestly, I can't imagine a dog would stay still to get all dolled up like that.
If they didn't like it.
If they didn't like it.
They don't like getting their nails clipped. Guess what? And it's hard.
It's really hard to trim their nails.
And of course, it's a problem because you can jump down to the quick.
But it sure seemed like these dogs that were getting the attention from their owners, they loved it.
So if there are people out there that are forcing dogs to do it, don't do that.
Yeah, why would you do that? But
there was the issue about cancer.
Yeah, maybe. Worried about the coloring for not being healthy for the dogs or whatever. You know what? I don't know enough about it, but I do know enough about this documentary. It was good. It was worth watching. So, and it gave me a lot more information about the whole thing. I never would have guessed people did this to this extreme. This is some fancy dogs. So
I just want to say about the animal rights, about some stuff like that. Go the whole hog and don't believe there should be any domestic animals. I don't like domestic animals that raise stuff. Dogs chose, i.e. wolves, chose, they chose to hang around. They chose to eat leftovers and all this sort of stuff. And similar thing with cats. I think it was more that they were hanging around because mice would hunt around people. I think it's a slightly different
Yeah, I think it's
motivation
a different thing.
originally. And I think that's why cats are a little more standoffish. We can get our own food, thank you. But they like the food and all this kind of stuff. Cats really do. I'm a cat person. We don't have any cats. Pauline's allergic.
No, but I think about them sometimes. Like I think, because my first pet was a cat, actually. Well, besides the chicks. Like I lived on a farm when I was a little kid, and my first pet would have been when I was a baby, and it would have been the chicks. But because they were in the porch, and so they spent a lot of time with me. And then I guess the pigs and the goats, but they didn't want as much to do with me. And but yeah, my first actual, like, the pet that my parents brought home to say, this is your pet, it was a cat. It was a kitten.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if even fowl on the ground wouldn't hang around with people. Once people started getting grains and stuff like that. Because I was just shocked at how tame the ground fowl were in whatever they were called in Watertonville.
Yeah.
Like if you're not going to whack them, it looks as though they'll, put up with you, and they'd probably be only too happy. Now, I'm not condoning by any means whacking them to eat them. I'm just talking about like having them as pets. How many people do that? Well, there's one person in the world. Pauline had a silky chicken called Helen back in the day, and she used to scratch around the yard and chew and stuff like that.
So I go to great lengths to cut my packages from everything so that I can use them again to put seeds in to give away. And I noticed this year, I noticed just today actually, but they started it, one of the librarians that
It's
is
a
really
librarian.
nice to me.
Yeah. She started it?
No, I don't know who started it.
Okay.
Probably some yellow that knows nothing about gardening. But anyway, and
There's
is
enough of
making
them at
like
the library.
$60,000 a year
Yeah,
to sit around and come up with new programs that they know nothing about.
But who knows?
Who knows?
If if you're watching and you actually know stuff about gardening.
But I've been trying to encourage people to garden for years, and I did ask at the library if I could give away, leave my seed packages for people to take there, and they wouldn't let me do it years ago.
You did
Yes,
actually
I did.
maybe started
so I
that
think
one.
this started because of me. But they started this summer. They're giving away seed packages at the library to encourage people to garden. And whatever. But so this is why if you're wondering why I cut this package in half weirdly like that, well, that's why. Because it's going to have probably tomato seeds in it or something. Tasty. But anyway, not anything I'd ever buy. Cliff Bar, energy bar. I mean,
yeah, it's pretty good burger.
That's good. Does it taste chickeny? Okay.
Yeah.
Not enough. I gotta work on it still.
Don't make it any more chicken.
Oh,
When you were cooking it, it kind of had chicken when I was going through stem cell therapy.
Oh.
Meat. Smell of meat, cooked meat. There's enough to make you launch like something off a Cape Canaveral.
Okay, so it's good as is?
It's great as is, yep.
Okay, so with things like this, you might get these sort of things and think, well, that's some ingredients that look like food and whatever. I mean, rolled oats, some date paste and whatever. Same thing in those bars, those little balls. You can shape those into bars if you'd rather. It's really easy to make your own energy bars or protein bars. There's the leaf in with them now. And that was just waste from delicious. The orange one was carrot chai, and the other one was mostly beet date mixture. So it has similar
Some
sort of stuff.
chocolate in it.
And I put some oat flour in it to just dry it out a little bit so that it wasn't a soupy mess. But I'm going to also try it with almond flour. So if you don't want to use oat flour for some reason, if you don't want to eat that, you can use almond flour. And the dates are going to make it stick together. So, anyway. Now.
So is this your glass of water or mine?
Yes. This is such a bad video series, and
it's not that good.
I feel like I should like it more, but it's so hokey. They'll do things like I can't remember which one I watched first with this on it. I think it was volume 2, but I'm not sure. They give the whole rundown on like an incandescent bulb compared to yeah, one of those compact fluorescent bulbs. And it's like, okay, yeah, I've read the packages of the compact fluorescent bulbs, so I already know the information that you've given me on this. Why did you give me this information on the show?
Beginners and starters.
They can read the package.
You're right.
It's right on the package. So they don't actually give enough information in this. Honestly, they haven't done research. They haven't done enough research to put out a video set of volumes of going to green. Anyone can save the planet! Exclamation mark. No. No. That's not true. So this is a bunch of yellow lies. And I have a really hard time watching crap like this. Honestly, like I think about...
Did they mention population once? Overpopulation?
That's the main problem. So anyway, if you're having more than one child per person, if you're actually contributing to population growth, you're not an environmentalist.
Oh,
not at all. So anyway, that's the first thing you can do to try to save the planet.
Yep.
Don't overbreed.
Yeah.
And don't encourage people to come into the country that have more than one child per person. Actually put in place some policies to prevent people from having more than one child per person.
So no Mick Jagger, no Rod Stewart.
No.
Populating papas.
It's got to stop. Now, there were some good things that I saw, like the cistern idea, putting cisterns under like whatever, a park or I don't know, some public spaces. That's a good idea, you know, but honestly, there was one part where there was a woman talking about, community center and a park. And this is what they were trying to do to be more green and set that there to kind of hold it down. Community center and the park, that's not really going very green. People don't need Wi-Fi.
They were talking about
like
Wi-Fi.
How is that going to help some people? You know?
I think they think information. I don't think people get much information off the internet.
No.
They get a lot of misinformation and disinformation.
You go to the library and people are sitting around listening to music or rapping along or whatever. There's not a lot of people actually doing research at the library. It's sad, but that's the fact of the matter. That's what they're doing. So, sure, give them some computers, probably not at the library. Save the library for people who actually want to learn, because when you, you may be thinking, oh, well, if I encourage people to go to the library to get internet access, whatever, then they're going to be more likely to learn. They won't. They're not interested to learn, and then it actually discourages people who want to learn from going to the library because they're scared of that crowd. So it's not a good thing.
So set up a different thing, like a step
So,
whatever. Wants to use the internet.
Sadly, for it. It would have been a library discard. But it sucks. And
edible schoolyard.
yes, because I'm very much interested. I think that it should be a part of every elementary curriculum, and honestly, all the way up. People should have gardens in the schoolyard, and it should be a part of a class that you learn how to garden and
hang with
cook
nature
and whatever. And it should be people who actually know how to do it that are teaching it. Now, there's some pictures of Prince Charles in here. I don't know why. And this Alice Waters was born in graduated from Berkeley with a degree in French cultural studies before training at Montessori school in London.
Whoa,
I mean, honestly, what does she know about gardening?
Yeah,
she opened her own restaurant, so she knows that she likes eating fresh food that's, you know, in season. That's her restaurant.
The French are
whatever.
Apparently good for that.
Yeah.
Not buying in the market.
Exactly.
Daily.
Eating food in season. That's a good idea too. But how is she the expert of this? I mean, this book is crap. There's a lot of pictures in it. There's not a lot of information, and I can't imagine that any class that is arranged by this woman at all, or that this woman has any part of. Maybe in French cultural studies. I bet you she knows a lot about that. But
well, Berkeley is a fairly
lot of the time
university.
when I see government programs for things like this, or government programs for like co-ops, food co-ops and stuff like that, it's not people who have an education in that field that are doing the things. Why are they being employed? Why are they getting the money and somebody that has an agriculture degree like me, or a horticulture like me, or why aren't they getting employed doing stuff like that? Instead, they're not getting the high wages. They're not getting. Come on. It's ridiculous. It's yellowism. The yellows just take over stuff like this. And they know nothing about it.
Yeah, so it's not even a make-work project for yellows. It's a
take-away. Yeah, exactly. It's a take-away work from other people that deserve it.
And they're not doing the work.
No, they can't. They don't know enough about it.
Now, she might have done a lot of research on the side. It's hard to say. I think too many people like this. Yellows.
But the edible schoolyard idea, that's a good idea. Kids need to learn how to garden. It's good for people to be out gardening. A little bit of sun, a little bit of nature. It's good.
I don't know, I think they should maybe have classes in hiking instead of phys ed.
Exactly, go on a hike.
Because the whole idea, I think, with this is or should be working off some of the talents. But the trouble is they tend to try to teach kids different sports. You can't learn in the short time they expose you to it.
I had no idea how to play any of the sports.
So it's just a way of embarrassing the kids that aren't sporty.
And rewarding the people who are sent to soccer practice on the outside of school or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's just, that's crap. Anyway.
I didn't learn one sport in school. I just fell behind.
I would recommend Darkness Falls and Ice from seasons 1 for watching right now. Very important. And fun. So, yeah, I guess you may as well go ahead with the...
Is that time?
Yeah, you have time.
You should eat these burgers. They're very good. Or this burger.
I
don't want to take it off of you.
No, I'm already eating this.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Okay.
If you want it, you eat it. I can eat something else or whatever.
I'll want it later.
Okay. Yeah, you have 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
These are the ones I have covered.
I'll hold them up for you.
We got down to Obama's administration. This is called The Price of Politics by Bob Woodward. Then we got Obama's Wars, Bob Woodward. They're both early on, fairly early on, so kind of less than halfway through his administration. This one's amazing. It's about trying to balance the budget and keep the economy going. Here's the Republicans telling Obama, balance the budget, balance the budget. We're going to shut down, not the government, but the whole budget process. The U.S. won't be able to borrow. We're going to shut it down. We're going to shut it down if they don't cooperate. Who brought on the deficit? Polling did a study in 2010. So just a little bit before this, or around this, when was this published? 2010? She did this for economics at the university, 2012. Okay? A couple of years later, it's not as though things went downstream or anything like that. And we checked every, like we kind of discussed what she should check. And she did all the work, but what she should check. So it was, how does the stock market perform? What was that?
I always defer to you about political stuff.
Well, like you could have checked with your university profs; they would have told you exactly the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's that's all. I've taken a fair amount of economics and some political science and stuff like that. I've read a huge amount about both. So, and learned a huge amount. It's not as though this stuff reads and goes by my, whistles through my ears and stuff like that. It doesn't. But I think at a lower rate than it does for the average person. So it goes. And employment. Democrats better. Significantly better. Per capita GDP. Democrats. Significantly better. The last 10 recessions, the 11, the Republicans have presided over 10 of them. That's a bad batting average.
Often have been misled to believe that conservatives are better with economics for the country. And it's just not true.
Because
if you look into it, it's not true.
Because they know how to run corporations. According to Woodward, this dude, he wanted to say Ronald Reagan was almost as unpopular as Trump. This dude knows how to run corporations into the ground. According to Bob Woodward, he's had 6 bankruptcies.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing, is with the corporation.
Yeah, so, like a corporation, it's limited in the United States. What is that? Limited liability. Apparently that's what that stands for. You can't go after the idiots. But guess what? The United States goes kaput. It's limited liability for idiots. But it's not for the people who actually put up the money, the taxpayer, the citizens of the United States. It's not limited liability. People will go unemployed. Their health will suffer. They'll have shorter lifespan as a result. So, it's not limited liability, and you can't have flunkies running things into the ground. So, when you look at the debt and deficit, that's what they're supposed to be, the Republicans. The Democrats are tax and spend. Guess what? These guys are not just spend, they're overspend and undertax. Undertax, overspend. The Democrats might be tax and spend, but these guys are, what they do is they cut taxes and i.e. themselves and the people who contribute to them. So they're horrible for deficit and debt by comparison with the Democrats. So they're squeaking and squawking and squealing and squalling about the Democrats, and the Democrats aren't great for that, on average, but they're so much better than the Republicans. So the Republicans, when it comes, and the bottom line is the stock market. So you got Donald Trump, he's tracking the stock market, thinking that he was actually driving it, right? He was driving a bubble. And we'll see how much of it, he's already had a stock market crash earlier this year in the spring. That's unusual to have one in the spring. We'll see if there's one in the fall. But the Republicans, I know a guy who took economics, and we were talking about, who has the stock market crash. He says everyone in economics knows the stock market crashes under Republican administration. And to a large extent, that's true. Billy Clinton was a little bit of with the tech stock bubble bursting in around 2000 was an exception that almost proves the rule. And there's going to be exceptions. We've got enough. Like data now that it's statistically significant. It's just the Republicans again and again and again and again. So what is that? What does that mean? You'll get a bubble stock market like under Eisenhower, but the economy underperformed it. Like if the stock market is soaring and the economy is limping along or going down, it's just a bubble. The stock market should track the economy. And, if the economy goes up, as it invariably does, well, almost invariably, aside from a very small downtick and very short under Carter, since 1947. So I was saying, it was 10 to 1, that's since 1947. Like the Republicans, like in the 20s, they had 3 recessions / one was the depression, 20s into the early 30s, so on and so forth. They were scumbags. So, like you can get, it's almost invariably goes up with the economy. With the Republicans, sometimes it goes up, and sometimes it goes roaring up, and then kaput. They're the ones who have the big depression,
honestly,
the Great Recessions, the Great
both
Depression.
The Democrats and the well, I guess if you look at it, I don't know, Democrat versus conservative, or conservative versus liberal, depending on where you
Live.
Yeah. I think they both lost control of the population. The population doesn't want to be a part of their herd, members of their herd, either of their herd. Deep down, most of the population, I think, realizes that I don't know. Neither parties, neither sides have their interests at heart, and they might not realize, wait, they're aggressive personality types, and aggressive personality types will only ever look out for themselves, and not even very well at that. I mean, they're very short-term. They're focused for short-term gains. And so in the long run,